Today in Review This Thing, we're going to compare these 5 brand new cellular trail cameras. This is Adrienne with Review This Thing. The 5 cameras we have today are the Browning Defender Pro Scout AI, the Covert Interceptor Solar, the Spypoint Flex S Dark, the Tactacam Spectre 4K Dual Core, and the Tactacam Reveal Ultra. All of these cameras are brand new for 2025, so we haven't had them in the woods for months like we like to do, but we did put them through some rigorous testing, so we're ready to tell you what we think. If you would, comment below and let us know what cameras you're running and what you like best about them. Some of these were sent to us by manufacturers for testing, but that never impacts our ability to tell you what we really think. All right, let's review these things. Today we're going to cover 3 main things: the camera features, the functionality of the camera, and then the quality of the images. We aren't going to talk about plans because we just posted a video on that, nor are we going to talk about the apps because that video is coming this Wednesday. So if you haven't yet, you may want to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss that. First, we're going to talk about camera features. Firstly, all of these cameras and antennas are about the same size. They all come with straps for mounting to your tree, and they all have these mounts for a tripod type setup. All the cameras have slightly different specs. There's really nothing that stands out that tremendously makes one better than the other. Some of them have higher megapixel pictures or video quality, but we'll get to that in a minute. With all of them, you can attach a 12-volt battery, solar panel, and or a battery box. They all come with multi-network SIM cards, so the camera will search for the network that's the strongest and automatically connect to that. And all of them are GPS enabled for tracking your camera. Since we're talking about GPS, I'll point out one difference. The Tactacam Ultra Reveal has what they call active GPS. So even if the batteries are removed and the camera is turned off, it still can give you a signal. If someone steals it and tries to turn it off to keep you from finding it, that won't work. Plus, it alerts you if it's been moved more than a half mile. If you saw our full video on this camera, I thought at that point it took longer than it should. They may have done some updates because the last time we moved it, it alerted us within about 45 minutes. And lastly, all of these cameras have the capability to send on-demand photos and videos. So you can always click that button, request a photo before you head into your stand to make sure you don't spook anything. Now for some features of each camera that stand out. The Browning Defender Pro Scout AI costs about $150. And the biggest difference with this camera is that it is all HD all the time. So the pictures that come to your app are already HD. You don't have to request an upgraded version be sent to your phone. And you'll see more of that comparison in a little while. The Browning seemed to have the longest battery life. I will say our battery test wasn't very real to life, because they only lasted about 2 weeks. We had a very short 10-second wait time between photos, and we had them set up in front of food. And we were actually feeding with something called buck grits, which if you guys haven't seen this stuff, you need to check it out. They sent us some, and we have been amazed. Robbie has actually had deer standing there while he's feeding it so they can get into it. They're in there within 10-15 minutes sometimes, and they stay there until they get it gone. So there were hundreds, if not thousands of pictures in just a few days. Plus we switched it over to video with that 10-second wait and it just pumping out videos, and we had it sent to send immediately. So those batteries had no chance. The Browning did last a week or 2 longer, but there aren't near as many deer there as there were in front of these other cameras. Next we have the Covert Interceptor Solar, which on Amazon is about $182. Obviously, the first feature you're going to notice is the solar panel. And one of the absolute coolest things about this setup is that this solar panel is removable. That's one thing I've often wondered about cameras with solar panels. They tell you to face your camera north so that there isn't direct sunlight hitting the lens, but then your solar panel isn't going to get the most light possible. And I think Covert nailed it with this. It comes with this pretty long cord, and it has a strap for the panel as well. So you can put it feet up the tree, facing in the area where it's going to get the most light, all while your camera is facing away from that light. The only downside to this camera is it does not come with a 12-volt cable to charge the solar panel. It does come with an adapter, so I was able to borrow the cable from this camera and get it fully charged. It will obviously charge in the sun, but I like to have it all the way at 100% before I put it out there. Another feature I'll mention on this camera that some others have, mainly because it's not on the box, is that it is a no-glow illumination. So in the dark, it's going to take pictures without having to have that red flash that could potentially alert your game, or if you're using it for security, your trespassers. I didn't mention it, but the Browning also has no glow flash. The Spypoint Flex S Dark and Tactacam Reveal Ultra can be switched between no glow and low glow. On the box of the Stealth Cam, it says it's no glow, but on their website, it says low glow. And you can see here that it is definitely not no glow. And the last feature I'll mention is another of my favorites. It has a 2-inch screen. So the menu is easier to see. With this, you see what the camera sees. Put it exactly where you want it. Then you can even request a test photo and see what you're going to see. That way, you're hopefully not going to miss anything. Now we move on to the Flex S Dark, which is about $170. This one has a solar panel as well, although it's not removable. We've had solar cameras from Spypoint in the past, and they've done really well. So even though you can't take that panel off, it still helps out a lot with battery life. I like the location of the latch, that it's very strong, and it has a spot for a lock. And this camera has a flexible antenna, so you hopefully won't break it. We already talked about the flash, but I want to mention the option of low glow or no glow. In some circumstances, if your target is further out, you may need more illumination, so having that option is kind of nice. Next, the StealthCam Spectre 4K dual core has an MSRP of $150. The thing they advertise most is the dual core, which means it can capture images at the same time that it's transmitting them. The StealthCam has 32 gigabytes of internal memory, so no more SD cards. The good side of that is you don't have to worry about forgetting an SD card or issues with formatting. The downside to that is you can't just pull your card. So to pull the HD images and videos for free, you either have to pull your camera out of the woods, take your computer to the woods, or create a transfer system from the camera to your phone. And the other major feature we have not seen yet is that the StealthCam will do live streaming. You can tap into your camera right now and watch what's happening. It does cost extra to do that, but if you get a picture of a really cool buck and you want to watch it, it's super easy to do. Lastly, we have the Tactacam Reveal Ultra. I already mentioned the Active GPS and its ability to choose between low glow and no glow. This camera also has the capability of live streaming that we just talked about. So these two are the only ones you can live stream from in these cameras. The Reveal Ultra has 16 gigabytes of onboard memory, but you can also put an SD card in this one if you prefer that. And like the Covert, the Tactacam has a 2-inch viewing screen. Plus, one feature Tactacam's had for a while that I really like is that you can connect through your app to the Wi-Fi of the camera and live time see what that camera is going to see in a bigger picture. So especially if there are two of you, one person can stand where you think the deer are going to come from and the other can make sure the camera is getting it. And you can request that test photo to make sure it's exactly what you want. Now let's move on to camera functionality. For our first round of testing, we had these cameras in the same spot as best we could. The first thing that I noticed is that the Tactacam has the widest field of view, allowing it to capture a wider picture. The Spypoint, Covert, and Browning were slightly less, but pretty close, and the StealthCam was definitely the smallest of all. As far as trigger speed, when I was walking, the Browning seemed to be the quickest at the widest range. The Tactacam was a close second, and the other three weren't really far behind. The StealthCam did manage to take 2 pictures of me when I was 30 yards out, which I think is a pretty good example of how that dual-core technology can transmit and take at the same time, because none of the other cameras got 2 pictures. Then I had to do my running test, which I am super speedy, so it was probably very similar to a deer running. The Spypoint triggered a little faster than the Browning when I was running from the right, but the Browning consistently triggered the quickest otherwise. This test shows how important it is to get your camera set up correctly first. Most cameras trigger in the middle third-ish of the screen. And you can see with the Spypoint, we had it a little too low, which is why it didn't capture me running from left to right until I was at the very right edge. But when I ran right to left, it immediately triggered. And this is where those screens on the Covert and Tactacam are huge, as well as the test and/or on-demand photos. Now, as far as trigger distance, the Tactacam Reveal Ultra was the most consistent at all the distances with walking and running, and didn't miss any triggers on our test. And here are some real-world examples of how far out triggered the camera. The Stealth Cam was next and didn't miss any triggers, but I will say we had more false triggers with the Stealth Cam than any of the others. I've been told the firmware update will fix that. If you have this camera, then comment below and let us know what you think about that. The Browning was probably next, consistently triggering at 20, 25, and 30 with running, but it did not catch me walking at 30 yards. The Spypoint was also very consistent, but I talked about how we kind of messed that up at the beginning with how we had it facing. And the Covert was consistent out to 20 and 25 in our testing, but it did not catch any movement when I was out at 30 yards. And here are a few real-world examples of triggering distance for these cameras. Now let's move on to what you probably care most about, and that's image quality. First, let's look at images straight from the app. In all of these cameras except the Browning, the thumbnail in the app is going to be standard definition, so it's not the clearest out there, but it can tell what's going on. And here I just want to make sure that I show you some nighttime photos from each camera. Now I want to compare the HD versions from each camera. Remember, Browning standard in the app, that's how it comes. Here are the ones from the Covert, Spypoint, Stealth Cam, and Tactacam. I feel like the Tactacam probably has the crispest picture of all of those when it comes to the HD, but the others are excellent. But if you don't want to pay extra for those downloads, then you can either go pull the cards, or like we talked about with the Stealth Cam, plug it in and transfer them to your phone. As far as the videos, I feel like the Covert has the clearest videos. They're all really good quality, but those just really stood out to me. I want to take some time here to play videos from each of them so that you can see and get a good comparison. Again, I feel like Covert's probably the crispest, but they're all really good. And I want to let you see some of the nighttime videos as well. There you have it. Now it's up to you to decide what's the most important features to you. If the no-glow flash technology is the main thing, then this Stealth Cam is not for you. But if live stream is the most important, then you're going to want to go with the Stealth Cam or the Tactacam. But if you want the cheapest of the cameras, then the Tactacam is off your list. You get the point. If image quality is your main thing, then go back, look at the pictures we have, look at the videos, and make your decision there. If you want to factor in the plans and the apps, go back and watch our plan video and stay tuned for our app video this Wednesday. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up and share it with all of your friends. If you don't know, we have a website, reviewthisthingtv.com, with lots of great content and some excellent deals. Head over there, subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss anything. But most importantly, thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for watching our 2025 Cellular Trail Camera Review video. While you're here, like it, comment, share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't and hit that notification bell. Also, head over to our website, reviewthisthingtv.com, and subscribe to that newsletter, get lots of great stuff, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X.